Hi, this is Crypto Ice, and this is part 2 of implementing Warren Buffett investment strategies into my digital asset investments. So if you remember the last video I did about Warren Buffett, it was about margin of safety. Just the basic idea of buying significantly lower than the intrinsic value of a company, right? Giving yourself a margin of safety. Well, in this one, I want to talk about, again, the difference between being a business owner in this space and a gambler. We want to be a business owner, right? As they say, Warren's mentor says, investing is most intelligent when it is most business-like. Okay, so our first action as a business owner was to find the margin of safety. But you can't stop there, right? If that's all it is margin of safety, it still does not mean that you have found the right pitch. And that's what I want to talk about today. Another one of Warren's famous analogies is the baseball analogy of standing at the plate and waiting for that right pitch. And the one difference between the baseball world and the investing world, in the baseball world, you get 3 strikes and you're out, right? In the investing world, you can wait for pitches all day. You can watch them, you can watch companies and pass on them all day until you find that right investment for you, something that you truly understand, something that makes sense, has the fundamentals. When you find that sweet spot right over the middle, that's when you take your swing. Okay, and that's the beautiful thing about investing. You can wait for your right pitch. Don't let other people push you into investments that you're not ready for. I'm going to talk about my learning curve. When I got into the space in July of 2018, everyone has a learning curve. Everyone makes mistakes. If you're not willing to make mistakes, you're really not built for investing, right? Because you have to be willing to make some mistakes. But you can minimize those mistakes if you put in the work and the knowledge and learn from others. So for me, my first month in the space, I invested in a company called Neo. And that any Neo fans out there, no disrespect, just for me, the reason why I invested in it was purely out of margin of safety. In the last bull run, it went up to like $200. And when I looked at it, it was at like $20. Okay, that's a pretty wide margin of safety. The problem is I never really took the time to understand the investment, the fundamentals, why I believed in it. And so I ended up eventually selling it. And that's typically what happens is you sell things that you don't understand. And it was a good experience. I did not invest very much, so I wasn't really that big a deal, but it helped me to learn the space. Sometimes you just need some time. So I want to talk about Warren Buffett, some of the quotes that he has. He says, if you are not willing to own a stock, in his instance, for 10 years, do not even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Okay, so I did not apply that with Neo. Now, it took me about 2 months to find XRP, and then a little bit later for VeChain. And those are my 2 sweet spot, right over the middle pitches that I swung at. And, you know, I want to say that they may not be your pitches. Those are my pitches. They may not be yours. You need to find what your sweet spot is, because, you know, as a wise man once said, if you are buying on hot tips because somebody told you something is so great and you don't understand the investment for yourself, you're probably going to get wrecked, because at the end of the day, it's about understanding what you hold. So even if you get the right pitch, that doesn't really mean a whole lot if you don't know how to run the bases, right? So you got to wait for the right pitch, understand the fundamentals, learn how to run the bases. Okay, so let's talk about how there's a high correlation between financial success and understanding your investment. okay? Very fundamental. And another famous Buffett quote that I love is, if you buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. Now think of that perspective, man. You have to be pretty confident in a company to just 5 years. If the market was closed, I wouldn't even care because I believe in it that much. That's how you need to learn your investments if you want to be truly successful in this space. I tell people, either you're willing to put in, a couple hours, 2-3 hours a week to study your investments. It doesn't take a genius to do this, but if you're willing to put in, a couple hours a week even, you can have confidence in your investments. And that's what allows you to be able to hold when price volatility comes, because it will. When I bought XRP, I took a small position at like 45 cents. It was like in, August of 2018. It went up to like 56 cents. It's been down to like 30 cents. It went back up to 40 cents. It's been down to 20 cents. It went up to 25. At the lowest, it went to like 12 cents. And now it's like right at 19. And you know what? I haven't sold one XRP. And I sleep well at night. And how can I do this? Because I understand my investment. And I'm telling you, if you're going to invest in this space, I personally think that's the only way to go. You have to understand what you hold. Okay? I've seen too many examples of people that come in and never invested in their life and decide they want to be a trader, a short-term trader, right? The historical data does not lie when it says that 90+% of people that day trade do not succeed. It's a difficult thing to do. And especially when you're new to a space, I personally am a long-term holder. I believe in my ability to find the right investment and just hold over time and let compounding interest work for me, right? As opposed to being a trader and getting cute with it and just thinking that you're, overconfident, really. Now, if you're an experienced trader and you can do that, by all means, go and do it. I have nothing against those people. I'm just not one of those that is built that way. So you decide for yourself. But I want to say, one thing, when I look back on the XRP price volatility over the last couple of years and how I've been able to hold, it really comes down to fundamentals. And for example, Naveen Gupta, managing director of Ripple, confirmed to us that there's 350 financial institutions as part of what's called RippleNet Home, which is like a database for all these institutions to come to, and you might say 350, that's not that big a deal. Well, let's just take a look at one of those. Okay, one of those 350 is Finastra. You may have heard of them. They have like 90 of the top 100 banks globally. They have like 9,000 partners. So when we say 350 financial institutions, don't get caught into like, oh wow, that's not very many. Finastra itself has 9,000 partners. It has, like I said, 90 of the 100 top banks globally. So it's going to be kind of fun when these non-disclosure agreements eventually roll out and these financial institutions can actually, come out and say, hey, we hold XRP. In 2019, in the second quarter, there was 250 million XRP sold. That's like 900,000, almost $1 billion in US dollars. So this is over the counter. those are the kind of things that I know about that bring me back to the fundamentals of, wow, these large banks and institutions are holding XRP and they're patient. They're not looking for a profit next week. I mean, they are in it from an institutional mindset. They're in it for the long term. So if I can adopt that same mentality, then I can have life-changing gains as well. That's my thinking. And that's how I keep myself calm and collected during price volatility up and down. Because the last thing you want is to be controlled by greed and fear. And that's the average retail investor. They just don't take the time to understand their investments. So let's go over this really quickly. Warren Buffett's investment strategies that I've gone over so far: margin of safety, waiting for the right pitch, and the third one, learning how to run the bases after you've got that hit. So I hope that this is maybe informative and help to keep you grounded when this space takes off. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. Do your own research. But I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.